Hello everyone, this is another, the second of these actually, a Lit RPG Topics video. This one's going to be a little bit longer than the other one, and is mainly going to be discussing kind of a little bit the state of indie publishing a little bit, and kind of being connected with your authors, some of the hurdles that indie authors face, particularly in the genre. So we're going to be covering three main topics. The first is why authors are pushing their mailing lists harder than ever before. Second is why some, particularly indie authors, are jumping ship from traditional social media platforms like Facebook, or rather expanding out rather than just jumping ship. They're expanding to other platforms as well. And three, what you can do to help your favorite indie authors out. So, all right, let's just jump into it. The first topic is why we keep seeing authors of all sizes, but in particular indie authors, push their mailing lists. There's this concept in indie author publishing that I learned about just a few months ago called your 1,000 true fans. Either indie or trad published, they both kind of use this, where essentially you need to find and be able to directly connect with your 1,000 true fans, meaning those people who will not just buy everything you write, but they will constantly interact and even advocate for their creation, for your creations among other fans, or for the author's creations among other fans. Essentially, you're looking for your fanboys and fangirls. Once they've reached that threshold, once an author has reached that threshold, they've essentially made it, so to speak. Anything they publish will be at least moderately successful. And all of us are trying to reach that point. So be aware that we're all scraping and trying to find our 1,000 true fans. Because if 1,000 people buy even one book, that's $3. That pays our salary for a month or two, depending where you live and expenses and things. All right, so the next topic, so that's kind of why we're doing this, right? We need to be able to directly connect with you. If there's any filter between that, where we have to pay to be able to communicate with you, or anything like that, or you have to jump through hoops to be able to communicate with us, that connection becomes more difficult, becomes more filtered, and you end up forgetting about us authors. That, to be honest, that's kind of what happens. All right, so that brings us to topic 2, why so many indie authors and other content creators are expanding away or towards other indie kind of social media platforms. Some are expanding away from social media, from the traditional kind of big 3 or big 4 social media platforms. Kind of why that's happening. For some people, it is political. I'm not going to lie to you that there is an element of politics, obviously. And I'm not going to get into it too much, but the last election cycle here in the U.S. was very contentious. Even a moderate centrist or moderate right or moderate left, everyone who was moderate in any way ended up probably losing friends on both sides, which is just tragic. That's just how brutal this last election cycle was. But it's not just political. There's also issues where social media platforms, particularly the biggest one, which is Facebook, keep putting up filters or keep interfering with our ability to connect with our fans, that 1,000 true fans, right? They keep putting up barriers where we have to pay them to boost posts, or they force the algorithm on everyone now. A few years ago, that kind of changed, and now everybody's feed is based on their proprietary algorithm that they change however they want, whenever they want, rather than it being purely chronological. Like, personally, I used to enjoy a purely chronological Facebook feed. Anyway, so that they control a lot of information. They control our ability to connect with you. This even can happen with direct messaging. If you direct message an author, there have been some times where Facebook or even Instagram on occasion they've tested pilot programs out where they will delay or filter out communication, direct communication with people, and they'll hold on to a direct message for a week and then finally send it to the person or alert that person that they have a message waiting. So they've been doing a lot of kind of ridiculous things to make it more difficult to communicate with you without paying them, essentially, right? And that's a problem. And so that's because that creates kind of filters, right? That makes it more expensive for indie authors who are just starting out. That makes it more expensive for people who are kind of trying to bootstrap it or bootleg it in the industry. That creates barriers to entry into the market. And the whole point, what Facebook and the other big ones got big on was making it so that people can actually do that where there were no barriers to entry. The barriers to entry were your skill, what your skills were, and who you had to hire to do other things, right? What your skill set was and who you had to hire to do other things that you didn't have the skills for. And essentially you had an all-purpose communications platform on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all the other ones, all the big ones, where you could directly connect with your followers. You don't have that anymore. Every single one of them has put up some form of filtering, some form of algorithm, essentially, where even if you say, yes, I want to see all the posts from this person, I want to see I want to subscribe, I will pay to be able to see a person's posts or whatever. They don't even do that all the time. They will delay sending out notifications here on YouTube. They will delay sending out notifications to people who have subscribed and hit show me all notifications when they go live. They'll delay sending out the notification for 3 or 4 days so that the views trickle in and we can't go viral. It's more difficult to become viral, for a video to go viral. They do that on purpose so that we have to pay them. Because these are one of the big secrets that, or it's not really a secret, it's an open secret, that people don't realize, is that all these social media platforms, YouTube's not a video platform, a video company. Facebook is not a communications company. They're ad platforms. That's all they are. They are vehicles that provide a service so that you can be there and they can show you ads whenever they want to. They are ad platforms. And they want to make it more difficult for people to have organic growth without paying them. And that's fine. But they used to not be that way. And that's a problem, in my opinion. Which is why a lot of people, like myself, are growing. We're not cutting off Facebook. We're not cutting off YouTube. We're not going away from these things. But we are growing onto other platforms, like MeWe and things like that. MeWe, Rumble, and all these others. So that's a little bit me rambling on that subject. It's not just political. It's also very, very practical. You need to have backups. You need to have other methods of communication. And that's actually one reason why I've created, me and a couple other authors have created a MeWe group, totally free. That if you're interested in, you can join. You will see everything. You can choose what notifications you get, how often, all that stuff. It has a lot of privacy controls and things, and most creatives are kind of using the political anger at Facebook and Twitter, and yes, even YouTube and Google. To kind of expand to platforms that aren't as toxic, that aren't as political, and where we can move and grow more easily and directly communicate with our viewership and maintain those relationships of the 1,000 true fans more easily. Kind of brings me to my third point. I know I've kind of rambled a little bit, but my third point is other social media platforms like MeWe, which is a fully interactive social media platform like Facebook, totally free, and is pro-free speech, which for me personally, most moderates kind of in the middle, I like that, right? I like to be able to talk to people, and if people are toxic, I can just block them. People are jerks, I can say I don't want to see anything from you, right? I have the control, and I like that. Anyway, that's a side point, but those platforms are maintaining a decent level of moderation for illegal and dangerous content, and that's where a lot of people are going. It's slow growth, but it's actual growth. Whereas on Facebook, honestly, a lot of the growth that Facebook and the others are seeing there's a lot of bots on there. There's a lot of spammers, a lot of people making multiple profiles and things, and their numbers just aren't entirely accurate. Again, side point, but there's that. All right, that brings me to the last point here. So, how can you help your indie authors? How can you help those authors that you enjoy most? Well, there are 5 ways of doing that. First, join the mailing lists, please. That's our way of directly communicating with you. It's our method of control where nobody can tell us, hey, we control the data. We own the data, basically, right? We own the mailing lists. So if a mailing list company doesn't like us and say, you got to get off our platform, okay, I'll just take the data and go to another one, right? Or, hey, we're shutting down because, we're not making enough money. Okay, that's sad, but we can go to another platform. Because the list itself is ours. You signed up to connect with us. And that allows us, the indie authors, and everyone, all creatives, to be able to connect with you directly without that filter. All right. 2 is follow your favorite authors on all social media platforms that they're on, besides the main 3, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow them on, if they have a YouTube channel like this that's also on Rumble, follow them on Rumble. If they have a MeWe account, follow them on MeWe. Do those things because they actually do matter. And maybe while you're at it, do a little advocacy for their books on those platforms. Consider being one of those 1,000 fans for your favorite authors because it can be really hard to find them. All right. The third thing you can do is leave Amazon and Goodreads and other retail reviews of their books. Wherever they have their books listed, because a lot of authors are exclusive with Amazon, but more and more are becoming wide. Leave reviews for them, please. And try, for the love, please, understand how Amazon's system and the other retailers' system differ, because they do. Amazon's system is not, I like the book. Most people, when they see a 5-star rating, it's like, I like the book. Wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. A couple of misspellings. I'll give it a 3. Amazon sees that as a bad book. Anything lower than a 4 on Amazon's system, they think is trash, and they will actively suppress that book. So because of that rating, they will knock it harder for being a 3-star than they would if it was a 4-star. Like, really hard. Yeah. 4 and 5 are good. 5 is stellar. 4 is solid. 3 is, not really a good book. 2 is, this book is trash, everyone should burn it. And 1 is, if I knew where the author lived, I would go drive up to their house and shoot them. That's how bad this book was. Okay, I'm not actually advocating shooting. Please don't. Amazon's gonna, or YouTube's gonna freak out. But anyway, that's kind of how my essentially a 1-star is I was offended by something in this book deeply and on a personal level. I've only given like 1 of those ever, and that wasn't even a book. That was an item I bought because the thing exploded on me when I opened it. But again, that's an aside thing. Sorry, these rambling videos, I need to be a little more succinct. So anyway, so that's 3. Leave reviews, and please, for the love of all that is holy, remember to understand and please understand how the ratings actually affect the books on the given platform, right? At the given retailer platform. Because Kobo, I'm not really sure how their system works, but I imagine it's probably a pretty solid system. I haven't heard any complaints about their system. A 5-star would be, hey, this is a great book. Whereas on Amazon, this is a good book. So please just be aware of that. 4, advocate for books that you really love. Tell your friends about them. Post on your social media. Say, hey, I just finished this book. I loved it. That kind of thing. That's huge. I've only had this is just personal. I'm not complaining at all. I've only had a handful of people say that they loved my Ethria series, or that they finished it and they liked it. Every single time, that puts a smile on my face for weeks. And most authors, most creative people are pretty what's the term? Pretty susceptible to kind of peer pressure, both good and bad. So just do something public and say something nice about books you like, please, because that's a big thing. It's actually one reason I started this channel in the first place. And 5, something else nice you can do for indie authors: make fan art. If you are inclined at all, make fan art. This is kind of one of my personal dreams. Is if somebody made fan art of one of my characters that wasn't me, because I make plenty of terribly drawn fan art of my own books, I would die a happy man. Make fan art, because make fan art to your heart's little content. Have fun with it, right? Make fan art that's so good it inspires the author to write better, right? Or to include a small detail in your book, or in the book, that you added to the character, right? Anyway, that's just kind of a pie in the sky thing, but honestly, even like a doodle of a person is like, hey, this is Riot from Ethria, I would die happy, man. Anyway, so that's kind of an explanation of why authors are expanding to other platforms, why you should probably consider doing so too, why authors are really pushing their mailing list so hard, and kind of 5 different things that you, as a reader, can do to really help them out, to really help us authors out. So, all right, thank you for your time, and you all have a great day. See you later.